Welcome back to another episode of Manzarra the Hobbyist. Today I will be doing a book review of Dragonfall by R.L. Lamb. This book, I picked it up because I liked the art on the dust cover, as well as it was called Dragonfall, which, fantasies, magic stuff. It sounded pretty cool. I did not actually enjoyed the book very much. Not to say that some people might not, I'm sure there are people who enjoy this book. I'm not one of them. But I will still continue to give the book review as I do with all the other books. So let me start by reading the little bit on the inside of the dust cover. And it says, "Long ago, humans betrayed dragons, stealing their magic and banishing them to a dying world. Centuries later, their descendants worship dragons as gods, but the gods remember, and they do not forgive. Thief Arcady scrapes a living on the streets of Vatra. Desperate, Arcady steals a powerful artifact from the bones of the plague bringer and most hated person in Lumet history. Only Arcady knows the artifact's magic holds the key to a new life among the nobles at court and a chance for revenge. The spell connects to Everin, the last male dragon foretold to save his kind. Dragging him through the veil, disguised as a human, Everin soon learns that to regain his true power and form and fulfill his destiny, he only needs to convince one little thief to trust him enough to bond completely, body, mind, and soul, and then kill them. Yet, the closer the two become, the greater the risk both their worlds will shatter." It's very, even that little bit I just read there was a lot, I feel like. As far as, what, it's really dramatic. And, it sounds interesting enough, but I don't know. And, even just because I've read the book, now that I'm reading that bit on the inside of the dust cover, I just don't like the writing style either. The language used in the writing style, it just didn't mesh well with what I like to read and how I like to read. This part where they go, only Arcady knows the artifact's magic holds the key to the new life. I don't know. It's just not, it's not drawing me in really. So here's the dust cover. It's cool art. I love it. There's a big old dragon on the front. Dark night, moon, the colors balanced. The illustration here is very nice. I'm not sure what all the things around it. I would assume those are clouds, but they have tons of tiny little lines on them. So, maybe they're supposed to be. Yeah, I could only say those could be clouds, but clouds aren't covered in lines. Maybe that's the interdimensional portal thing. I don't know. But you're also looking down at the dragon. Unless the dragon's flying upside down, you wouldn't see the moon behind it. Underneath it. You would see it behind it. But that would be looking up, and then there's the dragon, oh, there's the belly, the arms, and then the moon behind it. But as far as the, looking down at the top of the dragon and seeing the moon behind it, you'd have to be looking upside down. The inside of that dust cover doesn't give any hints of romanticism, or literal romantic action of the story. Basically, the dragon takes human form and tries to convince the human I mean, he doesn't even try to convince the human to fall in love with him. It just somehow happened. Like, ooh, they're attracted to each other, and it's like I have no problem with the orientations of the individuals. Like, I just don't care. They can be whatever. It makes no difference to me. Male, female, 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 male, male. None of these things matter to me. I mean, it's nice to see representation for others who like need it, so that's nice. But them themselves falling for each other didn't seem really natural. It was like, oh, this is the one guy I can trust. Like, it wasn't even that, because like Arcady had other people he could rely on. Not a lot, because apparently he betrayed some people, stole a bunch of their money, and so now he kind of isolated himself while he's already isolated because of his family history. And he's like lying about his identity and the whole thing that no one knows because of his family history. So he doesn't even let people know he's from that family. And then like apparently there's like schools of magic, but like you don't get to choose which school you belong to, and like there's these stones that you need to have, and a lot of people get them inserted in their chest so that they can have their connection to magic. But it's never really quite explained how the magic ended up in the stones. But like, but basically it felt kind of like Harry Potter meets Percy Jackson meets, I don't know, Divergent? Yeah. It's just tough because I don't like to talk bad about any books. I would not read this book again. Maybe if you very much enjoyed all three of those titles that I just listed and you wanted to see them put together, yeah, Dragonfall is probably for you. I didn't care for how the romance was given. I didn't care for how it came together. You can have schools of magic and then be like, or like assigned at birth or whatever. Or like, oh, my family is good at this, or oh, this is what, like, every time a baby's born, there's a roll of the dice, and you got 11, so you got win magic, or like, you know, some things like this. Like, it didn't really go. It gave some like this ancestor dragon gives us this power. You belong to this family, and then that was about it. Like, okay, these are what those powers do. This is how they work. But why is it that dragon? How do they know it's that dragon? And like, I don't know. I think certain things could have been fleshed out more, and the romance was kind of pushed and not really necessary for the story at all. But I do see like they used the romance to make the connection, and now like that's how the connection was fully fledged in between them. Like that's how Everett got the bond completely, body, mind, and soul. But I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I read the book, but I don't think Everett actually killed Arcady. Maybe he did. Like I said, it's been a while since this is a part of all those books I had lined up, and I've been waiting for months and months and months to try to give you guys these book reviews. So that's on me for not finishing the book, doing the review, and then moving on to the next book, which is what I should be doing. So that's my fault. If you like fantasy, if you like magic, this book is more towards what you're into. If you want romance on top of if you wish there was like more romance in the first book of Harry Potter, here you go. This book is more for you. This is more of what you're looking for. Let's see what the book looks like without the dust cover. I showed you guys the dust cover already. Said I like the art. It doesn't all make sense. It's just red with gold lettering. My dog snoring in the back. Okay, I think that's all for this one. If you enjoy fantasy, if you enjoy magics, if you enjoy like schools of different magic and everyone has their own powers, there are. I think this is one of those stories where not each and every chapter changes perspective, but they do like change perspective in each. These different chapters are told from different individuals' chapters. One of those being Arcady, one of those being Everett, one of those being this assassin girl who was raised in the church but is actually like a secret assassin who, and I think her mentor, we did get like maybe one or two chapters from him as well. But it was mostly Everett and Arcady. And I'm probably pronouncing those names wrong as well. Arcady is spelled Arcady, and Everett is Everen is spelled Everen. So there might be a stressed E somewhere in there that I'm not giving. So Everen, Everen, I'm not sure. I read it. This is a fast read. The text is of a fine size. It's very like conversational, so it has a lot of like small little paragraphs. Not a lot of like huge chunky paragraphs. I do like the magic they had in like the leftover world of the dragons as the dragons are trying to come back from. That world, I was so much more interested in that, and they did not go into that very much, other than it's dying, our history's here, we want to escape. That was about it. He's the last male. I didn't really like that motif. Yeah. Okay, well, Dragonfall. If you're into magic, if you're into schools of magic, if you're into romance on top of your schools of magic, give it a read. And feel free to let me know your guys' thoughts of the book, and maybe I got some interpretations wrong, and you can let me know that no, it was a good read, this is why we liked it. Let me see that sort of stuff. That way, like when I do find books like these, I can go, hey, this group of people, you guys are gonna love this, because like even if I don't love a book, I'm still gonna give it the review and I'm still gonna put it up. Okay guys, see you next time.